Right now, someone is standing in a checkout line holding a piece of copper that could pay off their entire mortgage, and they have absolutely no idea. They're about to hand over a fortune for a pack of gum. Stop, look at your hands, look at your pockets. The metal you're carrying isn't just currency. It's a high-stakes lottery where the winning tickets are disguised as common filth. We aren't talking about gold bars or ancient Roman denarii locked in a museum. We are talking about the hidden wealth circulating through the fingers of the uninformed every single day. Most people see a dirty penny. A numismatist sees an Ms. 65 red 1943 copper plancha terra that just cleared $200,000 at heritage auctions. The difference between being broke and being a silent millionaire is the ability to spot a single mint mark or a microscopic die variation that the US Mint tried to pretend never happened. Today, I'm stripping away the veil. I'm giving you the technical breakdown, the specific attributions, and the insider data points that the elite collectors don't want you to know. If you think this is just about old coins, you've already lost the game. This is about the metallurgical anomalies and the logistical failures of the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints that created accidental masterpieces. Let's start with the holy grail of the modern era, a coin that shouldn't exist according to every official record from 1943. You've heard of the steel penny. During World War II, copper was needed for shell casings, so the mint switched to zinc-coated steel planchets. But here is the secret. A few copper planchets from 1942 were left in the hopper. When the 1943 dies started striking, those leftover copper blanks were fed into the press. The result: the 1943 copper Lincoln cent. This isn't just a rare coin. It's a mechanical ghost. If you find a 1943 penny that sticks to a magnet, it's steel, it's worth a few cents. But if it doesn't stick, you've just found a coin that has realized auction prices of over $1.7 million. But wait, it gets crazier. Most people only look for the 1943 copper from Philadelphia. The real insiders are hunting the 1943s. Only one is known to exist. One, imagine the statistical probability of a second one. Sitting in a jar of change in a basement in San Francisco. When we talk about intrinsics versus numismatic value, this is the peak. You aren't looking for the metal value. You're looking for the mistake. You need to check the weight. A genuine 1943 copper should weigh roughly 3.11 grams. If it weighs 2.7, it's a fake. You need to look for the V shape in the wheat stalks. This is the level of technical attribution required to play in the big leagues. But here is where the retention engine of your wealth really kicks in. You don't need a time machine to 1943 to find a fortune. Let's talk about 1982. This was a transition year for the Lincoln cent, moving from 95% copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This created 7 official varieties. Large date and small date versions from both Philadelphia and Denver in both compositions. But for decades, the numismatic community whispered about an 8th variety that shouldn't exist, the 1982D small date bronze. For years, experts said the Denver Mint never struck the small date die on the old copper planchets. They were wrong. In 2016, a collector found one, then another. These are slabbed and certified by PCGs and NGC for thousands of dollars because they are technically impossible. You need a digital scale. If you find a 1982D with a small date where the 2 has a delicate curve and the 8 has a smaller top loop and it weighs 3.1 grams instead of the 2.5 grams of a zinc cent, you have found the impossible. I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Do you honestly believe these coins are still out there, or do you think the big auction houses have already scooped them all up? Tell me your theory, because the data suggests there are at least a dozen more 1982D bronze small dates waiting to be attributed. If you've followed the logic this far, you're clearly part of the 1% who actually understands this market. You aren't looking for shiny coins. You're looking for die variations. Hit the like button right now to certify your spot in that circle of elite hunters who know that luster is secondary to rarity. Now let's pivot to the 1992 close AM. This is a technical masterpiece of a mistake. In 1992, the US Mint used 2 different reverse dies for the Lincoln cent. One was intended for business strikes, the stuff in your pocket, and the other was for proof sets intended for collectors. On the standard 1992, the A and the M in the word America are clearly separated. But on a tiny handful of coins, the proof die was used by mistake. On these close AM varieties, the feet of the A and M are practically touching. It's a microscopic difference that translates to a massive payday. A 1992D close AM in a high mint state grade like Ms. 67 can fetch over $20,000. Why? Because the mint isn't supposed to mix business and proof technology. When you're looking at your 1992 pennies, don't just look at the date, look at the designer's initials, FG, near the Lincoln Memorial. On the close AM, the initials are further from the building. This is the technical VAM style analysis that separates the amateurs from the professionals. Wait, it gets even more intense when we move away from pennies and look at the 2004D Wisconsin state quarter. This is the ultimate pattern interrupt in modern numismatics. Most state quarters are worth exactly 25 cents, but in 2004, something happened at the Denver Mint that still hasn't been fully explained. On the reverse of the Wisconsin quarter, there's a stalk of corn. On a very specific number of coins, there is an extra leaf appearing on the left side of the corn stalk. There are two versions, the high leaf and the low leaf. This wasn't a simple die crack. The precision of the mark suggests someone might have intentionally altered the die with a graver's tool. It's a secret hidden in plain sight. When these were first discovered, the market went into a frenzy. People were buying rolls of quarters from banks across the Midwest, searching for the extra leaf. Today, a high leaf in Ms. 67 condition is a foundational piece for any serious modern collection. It's about technical grade. If the coin has full luster and no bag marks, the price exponentially increases. This is the bullion versus numismatic divide. The silver content doesn't matter here. The error is the value. Mentioning the like or comment section here isn't just a request, it's a tool to boost the truth against the system of big banks that want you to keep spending this hidden wealth without looking twice. Now let's go deep into the 1916 Mercury dime. This is the king of the key dates. If you find a Mercury dime in a jar of old silver, your eyes should immediately dart to the reverse. At the bottom, near the E in 1, look for that tiny demint mark. Only 264,000 were minted. To put that in perspective, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 22 million that same year. The 1916D is the definition of low mintage. But here is the insider secret. Because this coin is so valuable, there are thousands of added mint mark fakes. Scammers will take a common 1916 Philly dime and glue a D onto it. This is why you must understand slabbed and certified assets. A genuine 1916D Mercury dime, even in about uncirculated AU condition, is a 5-figure coin. If you find one in mint state with full bands, meaning the horizontal lines on the fasces are completely separated, you are looking at a 6-figure auction result. At Stack's Bowers, the full bands FB designation is the technical hurdle that 99% of these coins fail. It's about the strike pressure. If the minting press wasn't dialed in perfectly, those bands didn't form. A 1916D without full bands is expensive. A 1916D with full bands is a legend. But what if the wealth isn't in what's there but what's doubled? Enter the 1969's Lincoln Cent double die obverse. This is the stuff of numismatic nightmares and dreams. In 1970, the Secret Service actually began confiscating these coins because they thought they were counterfeits. They were so perfectly doubled that the government assumed no official minting process could produce them. They were wrong. It was a Class I rotatory hub doubling. Look at the words liberty and in God we trust. On a genuine 1969's do, the doubling is so prominent you can see it with the naked eye. It looks like the coin was struck twice but slightly shifted. Do not confuse this with machine doubling, which is a common, worthless shelf-like effect caused by a loose die. True hub doubling happens during the creation of the die itself, meaning every coin struck from that die carries the exact same high-value mistake. A high-grade 1969's doubled die can easily clear $126,000, but here is the kicker. You have to find the S mint mark. Philadelphia and Denver didn't have this specific error. It was a San Francisco exclusive. This is why mint marks D, S, P, W are the DNA of your wealth. Let's talk about the 1970's small date. Most people don't know that the 1970 San Francisco cents come into distinct varieties, the large date and the small date. The small date is the key. How do you tell the difference? Look at the word liberty. On the small date, the word is soft and slightly blurry, but the real attribution mark is the 7 in the date. On the small date, the top of the 7 is level with the 9 and the O. On the large date, the 7 sits lower. If you find a 1970's small date in a proof set, you're doing okay, but if you find a business strike small date in circulation, that is the hidden wealth we are hunting. It's about die state. Early die states show crisp details, while late die states look mushy. Collectors will pay a massive premium for an early die state TDS 1970's small date because the details are razor sharp. This is the technical numismatics that the average person ignores while they're busy complaining about inflation. Inflation doesn't matter when your penny is worth 3,000 times its face value. We have to discuss the 1999 wide AM, much like the 92 close AM. This was a die mix-up. In 1999, the Mint accidentally used a proof reverse die for standard circulating pennies. On a normal 1999 penny, the A and M of America are almost touching, but on the wide AM era, there is a clear, distinct gap between the letters. Why does this happen? It's a logistical failure at the mint. They have thousands of dies, and sometimes a proof die intended only for those shiny sets sold to collectors gets tossed into the bin for regular circulation coins. The 1999 wide AM is the most common of the wide AM errors, but in top pop condition, meaning the highest known grade. On the PCG's population report, it still commands a massive premium. If you have a 1999 penny that looks exceptionally shiny or well struck, check that AM. You might be holding a coin that was never supposed to see the light of day. This brings us to the 2000 Cheerios dollar. This is a legendary insider story. In the year 2000, General Mills included a new Sacagawea dollar in every 2000th box of Cheerios. Most people ripped the box open, spent the dollar, and moved on. But a few numismatists noticed something strange: the tail. Feathers on the eagle on the reverse of the Cheerios dollars were different. They had much more detail-defined veins in the feathers compared to the standard dollar coins released later that year. These are known as the pattern reverse or enhanced tail feathers, because so many of these were spent or lost. A certified Cheerios dollar in an original government packaging or slabbed by a major grading service is now worth $5,000 to $10,000. It's a hidden wealth story that started in a grocery store aisle. Think about the 1/9 for 3D Lincoln cent, while the copper one is the king. There is also the boldly doubled mint mark variety. This is where the D was punched into the die twice. This repunched mint mark RPM is a technical attribution that can turn a 50-cent coin into a $500 coin instantly. You need a 10x jeweler's loop. You are looking for separation of serifs. If you can see two distinct tops to the D, you've found an RPM. This is the secretive nature of the hobby. The information is out there, but you have to know where to look. You have to understand die flow lines and planchet defects. You have to know that a lamination error where the top layer of the coin peels off is usually a minor defect, but a clipped planchet where the coin is missing a circular bite can be a major error worth hundreds. The 1992 close AM, the 1943 copper, the 1982D small date bronze, these aren't just coins, they are certified financial instruments that trade in a secondary market that is completely decoupled from the stock market. When the economy is volatile, hard assets like rare coins often see a massive influx of capital from elite collections. This drives the prices of key dates and high-grade errors through the roof. You are looking for is 70 or 70, the perfect grade. In the world of numismatics, the difference between ANMIS 69 and ANMIS 70 can be tens of thousands of dollars. It's about eye appeal. It's about toning the natural oxidation that can turn a silver coin into a rainbow of colors. Monster toning can double the price of a coin instantly. So here is the curiosity gap we opened at the beginning. Why is the bank teller lying to you? Because they are trained to see face value. They are trained to see a quarter as 25 cents. They aren't looking for the 1932D or 1932S Washington quarters, which were the first years of the design and have incredibly low mintages. They aren't looking for silver content in 1964 and earlier. Quarters and dimes, they are part of the system that keeps the hidden wealth moving. But you? You now have the technical knowledge. You know to check the 1943 for a magnet test. You know to check the 1982D for the weight. You know to look at the AM on every 1992 and 1999 penny you find. You are no longer a consumer. You are a cherry picker. The final revelation is this: the most valuable coin you will ever find isn't the one I told you about. It's the one that hasn't been discovered yet. The US Mint makes mistakes every single year. There are muled coins where the obverse of one coin is struck with the reverse of another that are being found right now. There are transitional errors happening as we speak. The hidden wealth isn't just in the past. It's in the change you received this morning. The question is, are you disciplined enough to look? Are you sophisticated enough to understand the numismatic data points? Or are you going to keep spending your fortune one pack of gum at a time? The 1943 copper was found by a teenager in his change. The 1982D small date bronze was found by a casual collector. These aren't myths, they are slabbed realities. Start looking. The intrinsics are there. The rarity is there. The wealth is literally in your pocket. Now, go find it.